You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show with your hosts, the Fantasy Insider, Matt Brick, the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Doctor, Jeff Hathcock.
Good evening, everyone. I am Matt Brick. You're listening to the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I'm joined with my co-hosts, Henry the Commish Brick and Jeff the Dr. Hathcock. Good evening, everyone. How are we feeling?
Man, we were just talking about it. All these injuries this year, crazy. It's ravenous. It's sad, is what it is. It's really sad. But man, we got a lot of good football to talk about.
Yeah, a lot of good football. I mean, listen, injuries they're part of the game. It sucks to see these players, especially like Emeka Ibuka, who was having an incredible start to his rookie campaign. To see him go down with the hamstring, you got all these other guys who were hopefully, Puka especially, he was having an incredible year. Hopefully these guys get back soon and they still keep up that production and help their teams get to the playoffs.
All right, let's get straight into the news. There was a lot of injuries, like the commish said, so let's get right into it. Brian Branch, he got suspended for one game after the altercation with Juju Smith-Schuster, so there's that. Brian Callahan, the former head coach of the Tennessee Titans, he was fired after a 4-19 record in Tennessee with the Titans. Mike McCoy is now to be the interim head coach, so there's that. Fred Warner got hurt against the Bucks. That is a season-ending ankle injury, so hope he can get better for next year. Marvin Harrison Jr. left the game with a concussion, so there's that. Mike Gesicki was ruled out against the Packers with a pec injury. David Njoku did not return due to a knee injury against the Steelers. Dontavian Wicks did not return with an ankle injury. Anthony Richardson got hurt pregame and suffered an orbital fracture, which is kind of wild. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but that's weird.
He was pregame workouts. He got hit with the band.
Very strange.
What a guy!
Can't even pregame workout properly. I don't know what happened there, but I hope and wish him the best to get healthy. Blake Corum did not return with an ankle injury. Of course, Buka Nakua dealt with an ankle injury. He did stay in the game, but Sean McVay stated that he is unsure if he will be back for Week 7. From what I've read, it doesn't sound like he'll be back, so got to be prepared for that. Of course, Garrett Wilson has a hyperextended knee injury and will miss some time. Juwan Jennings just blatantly stated that he's been playing with broken ribs and a high and low ankle sprain. So we'll talk about player safety this episode. Emeka Ibuka was ruled out with a hamstring injury. I think he'll miss a couple of weeks as well. And Calvin Ridley was ruled out with a hamstring injury too. We have two teams on a bye this Week 7. That is the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. So you're looking at guys like Lamar Jackson, obviously, even with him being hurt, and Josh Allen, James Cook, DeAndre Hopkins, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Derrick Henry. Those are guys that you're not going to want to play this week because they're on bye. They're not playing. Tough. I mean, these receivers getting hurt, you don't like to see it, but what are you going to do? All right, let's get into our stardom, situm segments. I'll start off with the stardom, situm. All right, so to start this week, I have Caleb Williams. He plays the Saints, and he did a very serviceable 252 passing yards for one touchdown and a rushing touchdown against the Commanders last night on Monday Night Football. The Saints have allowed 149 fantasy points so far this season to quarterbacks, which is the 29th in the league. So I think Caleb Williams can have a great game. Next, I have Jaylen Warren, or what we like to call him here on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show, the Apex Predator. Warren goes up against the Bengals' rush defense, which has allowed 156 fantasy points to running backs. That is 32nd in the league, and I think not only will Warren ball out, but I think the Steelers will dominate in that game. Lastly, I have Deebo Samuel. I think he's a must start this week. He goes up against the Cowboys, who have allowed 167 fantasy points against wide receivers. And you guessed it, that is dead last in the league. I expect the Commanders to pull out a win and for Deebo to have a day. Kamish, what do you got?
Man, I actually agree with you on Debo. The Cowboys have the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL, so Debo should have a great game, especially the Commanders coming off that big loss the other day. So I like Patrick Mahomes this week. He goes up against the Raiders. Although they're 19th against the pass, they're ranked, how about this, 31st for completions over 10 plus yards. And he gets back Rice this week. So I think Mahomes is really starting to pick up his fantasy game, I should say. Is an awesome start this week for sure. I really like Georgie Pickens. He plays the Commanders who give up an average of 33.35 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver. I'm going back to the Birds. Barkley. I think if you're going to beat the Vikings, you got to do it on the ground. The Vikings ranked 26th against the run. They let up an average of about 130 yards per game on the ground. So Barkley needs to be in gear this week for the Birds to get back on track. So I'm looking forward to that. And a little bonus start, just added moments before the show. I got to put in Aaron Rodgers if you need help at the quarterback position this week. Goes up against the Bengals, who allow the second most passing yards per game. So he's a great start, if you have someone on the bye, although there's only the two teams on the bye this week, right? So, Doctor, I leave it to you, sir. Who are your starts of the week?
Yeah, I love the Mahomes pick, Henry. I mean, right now he's the QB1. That's ahead of Lamar. It's obviously Lamar's had the injury going on with his hamstring, but that's ahead of Josh Allen. For Drake May, as good as he's been, Mahomes is ahead against him. It's a divisional matchup, and right now the Raiders are turning over the ball so much too. Patrick Mahomes, he's got Rashee Rice back. He's the number one guy without Rashee Rice. I think he's going to be a slam dunk. I'll talk about him more in my DFS lineup later in the show. Love that pick, Henry. But for me, listen, Jaden Daniels, he didn't have that great of a game this past Monday night. It was a tough matchup against the Bears. They end up losing, but again, this Cowboys defense, they cannot stop a nosebleed. They're the league worst defense, and they cannot stop anyone. And regardless of the position, I think Jaden Daniels, even with if Terry McLaurin doesn't play, I know Debo's a little bit banged up, but I think he's still going to have himself a great game. I think he's a smash start this week. He's coming off the injury. He got the game under his belt. It's out of the way, but this Dallas season right now for the defensive side, every game's a shootout, which I love. We love that for fantasy. If every defense could just not show up every week, it'd be great. But right now, it's looking like a must start for Jaden Daniels this week against the Dallas defense that cannot stop anything. Courtland Sutton, it seems like when Bo Nix struggles, Courtland Sutton's going to struggle. I didn't think he was going to have much of a struggle overseas against a Jets defense that isn't very good this year. But he did. He just had one catch. So he was a dud for the week. But I think he gets back on track this week. I think he's going to be a massive value pick. Right now, he's currently the wide receiver 20. He's averaging just under 9.5 fantasy points per game. But that said, he's had 3 games in which he's topped 12.1 fantasy points. And I think this week he's gonna have a great bounce back week. I think against this Giants team, they give up 41.8 fantasy points on the season right now to wide receivers. This has been, especially with how the Giants played this past week against the defending Super Bowl champions, this has the potential to be another shootout. For me, I'm all in on Sutton this week. And then going back to that Dallas matchup, I'm going with Jake Ferguson. Right now, he's legitimate tight end 3 on the year. the Wisconsin product. He's averaged 10 fantasy points this year. For me, he's Dak's go-to. I know Pickens had this incredible year. There's a chance CD comes back this year too. But I Jake Ferguson was getting this kind of volume with CD in the lineup. And if I think Jaden Daniels is going to have the type of week he's going to have against Dallas, they're going to have to force the ball to their guys. And with CD back, it's going to be CD. It's going to be Jake Ferguson at tight end, and they're going to have Pickens in the mix too. With CD back, I love this Dallas offense going forward. They're able to run the ball this year. Very exciting team to look at. But I'm going with Jake Ferguson. I think he's going to have a great week.
All right, let's get right into our sit-ems. Kamish, who do you have?
Sorry to get my mic turned on there. Okay, boys. How about this? Bo Nix. That pass rush of the Giants was boss last week, right? Crushed the Birds. I think they'll slow down Nix a lot. They only give up about 200 yards a game through the air, and I think Nix I think that Giants is going to give him some trouble. So he's a sit for me this week. Alvin Kamara, another sit. How about this? They're going up against the number one run defense, the Bears. Okay. And here's the other thing. On top of their playing a tough defense, how about the last 2 weeks, Kendre Miller getting 18 rushes per game. So he's taking away from Kamara, right? So to me, that's an absolute sit, easy. And finally, I got Jacoby Myers versus the Chiefs. They just held Amon-Ra St. Brown to just 4.7 fantasy points, and of course, as we both know, he is a stud. So Jacoby, we will find better days elsewhere, but this week he's an absolute sit.
Yeah, I love that sit for Jacoby Myers, Henry. I actually have he's a week 7 sit for me too. The Chiefs, they kind of sleptwalk through this first month of the season, but they are awake and they are scary. They're getting they're getting Rice back. Geno Smith, like I said before, he's turning the ball over so much. I just think it's a great pick. I'm sitting Myers as well. Rest of the season, especially with how Geno has looked, the offensive line is not helping them either. But Geno just does not look like the Geno of the past 3-4 years that we've seen with over with the Seahawks. And then speaking of Seahawks, I love Sam Darnold. I think he's been a great pickup option this year, streaming option. But this is not going to be his week. Over the last month, the Texans have allowed an average of 8.3 fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So if you've been streaming Sam Darnold, you've gotten away with it. He's given you some decent weeks, but right now on the year, he's posting 17.4 fantasy points per game. It's putting him right now at QB 15. Down from last season's QB9. Now, again, there's still a lot of there's a lot of season left, but I'm not looking to start Sam Darnold at all this week.
Man, I get you, Jeff, on that. But man, how about that was a beautiful ball. I think it was like 61 yards to JSN last week.
Dude,
in stride. I was like, boom.
He and JSN are playing lights out right now.
It's crazy.
I was so high on JSN. Once DK was out of the picture, there's no more Tyler Lockett. For me, Sam Darnold was a great QB. I played him in we have a dynasty league that the three of us are in together. I played him over Kyler Murray last year, almost predominantly. Like I was in the playoffs with Sam Darnold as a starting QB, and I thought, if this line held up, that JSN was going to feast. I'm right. I mean, that was a bet that I had on this year. Right. I managed to snag him in our auction draft because I was so high on him. Right. But this week especially, I don't know. Something's telling me just to stay away from Sam Darnold, so I'm trying to pivot away from him. And then I know this is crazy. This is more a DFS play than anything. But I'm looking to say Christian McCaffrey. You'll never ever see anyone legitimately say you got to sit McCaffrey. He averages the most touches. He averages per touch 6.6 yards this year. But for me, going up against the Falcons defense, this Falcons defense is legit, guys. I mean, they just had a primetime game with Josh Allen coming into their house, and they shut him out.
Totally dominant.
They shut him out. They shut Cook down. This defense is legit, which is crazy because there was a lot of talk this year that they were going to be another defense that struggles because, I mean, listen, they have struggled the past couple of years. This defense has not been good. They are playing really good football right now. On the year, they're averaging 13.8 fantasy points to opposing rushers. The offensive line right now cannot run block for whatever reason. McCaffrey still has not gotten a touchdown on the ground. He's done it all through the air. So for me, if you're doing DFS this week, I would try to stay away from McCaffrey. I know he's the big home run name. You want to get him in your lineup, but I temper expectations. Obviously, for redraft or whatever you're starting in him that's not DFS, you're going to be playing him, but just really temper your expectations. But what do you got for us this week, Matt, for your sits?
I too have Sam Darnold. They play Houston on Monday Night Football, and they're coming off a bye, which is important. They've allowed 49 fantasy points to quarterbacks, which is the number one best in the NFL. So you can argue that they've only played 5 games, but they're still pretty good. And I think that the fact that they're coming off of a bye is pretty important. So I would not have a lot of confidence in Darnold this week, even though he has been balling. I mean, it's not that I hate it. It's just a tough matchup, and I think that there's other players I would start over him. So you're going to want to keep that in mind.
Aaron Rodgers.
Let's go. Sure. So I wrote in fair warning, do not start Sam Darnold this week. Next, the Jags play the Rams in London this week, which makes it even worse for Travis Etienne. I would not start him in this game because the Rams have only allowed 65 fantasy points to running backs, which is the second best in the league. Plus, it's in London, and I feel like those games just haven't been fantasy football friendly. Lastly, it pains me to say that it pains me to say this, but I'd consider benching AJ Brown this week. My Birds go up against the Vikings, who are coming off of a bye, and the offense just hasn't been clicking. It has been very predictable, which anyone with eyes can see. Now, will this be fixed right away? I don't know, but the Vikings have allowed 53 fantasy points to wide receivers, which is, you guessed it, the best in the league. I'd rather start Devonta Smith over A.J. Brown because I think Isaiah Rodgers will be on Brown, which I think will be a tough matchup for him. So those are my sits. Did everyone do their sits? I honestly don't remember.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and segue to our Dude I'm Sorry segment. Kamish, why don't you start?
Of course. Well, listen, boys, last week I was very high on Ryan Flournoy as my, long shot, right? Puts up 3 for 30. For that dude, I am sorry. However, I did tell you to sit Tua. 3 interceptions. I did tell you to sit the Ken Dog Walker. I believe he had 10 rushes for 34 yards, 1 catch for 3. So hopefully you listened to me and it helped your fantasy team this week. Jeff, Doctor, how about you?
Ken Walker is so painful. I understand having Charbonnet in there to have Kenneth Walker healthy, but it blows my mind how much work Charbonnet's getting. But
because you make a great point. Because of that, I don't want to start either one.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
It's killer, man.
Yeah,
Unless you're stuck on a bye week,
that, or
find
you
other
got
options.
injuries,
Yeah, or injuries, right.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I think a big part of it was the weather. But I was very high on Matthew Stafford this past week. Did not have a great week. He came up with a dud. Part of it too, again, the weather. There was high winds in this. The entire East Coast was getting hit by this nor'easter. But once they got away from it, they really didn't need to pass the ball anymore. Puka's injury doesn't help either. So if you were telling Matt Stafford, my bad. But sometimes the weather just you can't beat Mother Nature. It just is what it is. But on that flip side, I told you to try to pivot off Garrett Wilson. I don't want anything to do with Garrett Wilson with this knee injury. He's going to be probably sidelined for, I would guess, at least 2 to 3 weeks. They're not putting him on IR. But I just I don't want any part of this passing attack right now with Justin Fields the way he's looking. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you were managed. I was not that fortunate. I had to play him in one league this week. Funny enough, Matt and I played in our auction and our dynasty league, and we went 1-1. So go figure. And we had Garrett Wilson on each side. So maybe that's just a telling story of we were forced to play Garrett Wilson for our teams this week. But it's unfortunate, but hopefully he just he recovers and he looks good and bounces back. But Matt, what are you sorry about this week?
First, I wanted to talk about the Seahawks backfield, like you guys are saying, because I actually have a question for you. I have James Cook on a bye this week. I either have to start Kareem Hunt or Zach Charbonnet. What would you guys do?
Wow. Let's see.
Because I feel like because Seattle plays Houston, and
Chiefs are playing the Raiders.
Right?
It's disgusting. But I would start.
It's very close, probably. I feel like we're talking about maybe a point difference.
Yeah.
At the end,
I just feel like.
Hunt when they get close to that end zone, he just smells it, man. They give it to him and he gets in. So to me, there's the upside with that. But on the flip side, you have a Monday night game, and generally the boys play up for the Monday night game. So to me, I think you have a bigger floor with Hunt. Yeah, maybe a bigger floor actually with Hunt, but maybe a better upside because of the Monday night game with Sharps. But
I think like what you said, Henry, is so true though. Like when the Chiefs get down there, like Kareem Hunt, he's got 3 touchdowns on the year. Like he knows how to get into the end zone. How many times has Charbonnet been stuffed at the 1-2 yard line this year? It feels like at least 10, 15. Like they this past week, they got to the 1 yard line. They ran it 3 straight times, and Sharp gets stuffed 3 straight times. To me, yeah, it's maybe if something happens to Kenneth Walker, and I don't wish injuries, especially with all the injuries that have happened already. But I mean, Charbonnet, if he's splitting the backfield with Walker right now, the Chiefs, at least, like that offense is going to be humming. They're getting Rashee Rice back. They're going to be passing the ball. They're going to be opening up the field with Hollywood Browns. He's playing well again. Tyquan Thornton, he's going to be stretching the field. He's not going to play that much because Rice is back. But I at least I think on paper the Chiefs offense looks awesome right now, and they're adding Rice to the mix. I don't think Hunt's going to be facing as many stacked boxes as when Charbonnet's in there. They're the whole world knows they're running the ball, and he's going to run it up the gut for less than 2 yards. It's just how they operate with him right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both for your input.
Hey, I got some news.
Okay.
Dave Canales, head coach of the Panthers, was asked about when Chuba comes back, is he getting the starting job back over Rico? And he said, "We'll see."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Whatever.
Very interesting.
Okay.
And I got one other
okay. All right. We'll never finish this segment. Keep going.
One other tidbit. Looks like there's a good chance that Kittle's coming back this week. So that should help with the Jennings broken ribs.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
That's
All
great.
right.
Excellent.
Just want to be
Excellent insider information. All right.
sure. All right.
This last week I told you to bench Dallas wide receivers, and of course George Pickens being one of them. Balled out, 9 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown. For that dude, I am so sorry. But last week I did pretty well. I feel like I told you to start Josh Jacobs, who had 93 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, 5 catches for 57 yards. I also told you to start Drake May, who threw for over 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I told you to sit Justin Fields in London, who threw for 45 yards and ran for 31 yards. So for that, you are so welcome. And I know that I did pretty good there.
You did, Matt. And calling Jacobs, Jacobs is such a beast. He is just a monster beast. Great stuff.
Not only that, I also called. I said it last week. I said, watch out for the Panthers. I think they're gonna upset, and they did. And I made some money. All right. We will go into the DFS lineups of the week. This is big now. People are getting frustrated.
Huge.
People are getting frustrated.
We have our own little DFS matchup every week in our league. And Matt, how many times have you won? 3-4 times already? 3 times. Dude, you're killing it. You're killing it every week. I've come in second last 2 weeks in a row. You're crushing me. I hate that. But man, I hope the guys in our league are listening, because man, you just give out the winners, and it's great stuff. Man.
I will be honest. I do not submit the lineup I say on this show. This is all smokescreen. I do not give my full cards out because this, that, and the other thing.
Well, listen, things change, man. You got to be, fluid.
So certain, people,
you got to be fluid.
And every Thursday they say this is the lineup, and I plug and play, and I do my own analysis and all that. But yeah, for some reason it's just been crazy. It's like every week I will look and I'm like, yep, first place. So
when you're on the heater,
well, I guess I have to say mine now, right? Because after all that, all right. Let's see. I have Caleb Williams at quarterback at 5,800 versus the Saints. Like I was saying earlier, the Saints are the 29th against quarterback. So I like that matchup. I think it gives Caleb the opportunity to ball out. So does that mean he will? Absolutely not. But I think after that win, I saw some hope there. And I feel like we really should talk about DeAndre Swift because he balled out too. But Caleb Williams at quarterback, 5,800. Next, I have Quinshon Judkins at 6,000 against the Dolphins at home. The Dolphins are just not a good football team. I'm still surprised that we're at Tuesday, October 14th here. Mike McDaniel's still the head coach of this team, and I'm shocked. So let's go Quinshon Judkins there. My next running back is Jordan Mason at 6,200 against my Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, at this point, the Birds' defense hasn't just been doing anything really. So I feel fine starting Mason there. So there's that. At wide receiver, I have Deebo Samuel, who I talked about earlier. That's my must start of the week. 6,200 against Dallas in Jerry's World. I think Daniels. I just think that Daniels is going to be slinging the ball come game time. So I love Deebo on that matchup there. So I love that. Next, I have Ladd McConkey at 6,000 versus the Colts. I think that's just a good value there, especially with Quentin Johnson. We'll see about him. If he were to play, I might switch. I would consider switching those two out. But for now, it's Ladd McConkey. And he's back. He's better than ever. Rashee Rice. I have him in my no, that's my third wide receiver. My apologies. For 5,600, amazing deal against the Raiders. it's going to look like he never left. I'm so convinced. He's one of the best, and I'm excited to see him play Sunday. It'll be fun to watch. At tight end, I have my boy Tucker Kraft mac and cheese at 4,900 against the Cardinals in Arizona. I feel like he's just been such a solid, consistent tight end throughout his career, honestly. I've been drafting him for 2 or 3 years now, and he's just been balling. So I got my boy Tucker Kraft. At flex, I have Javonte Williams at 6,700. That's, of course, against the Commanders. And, yeah, I think that's just a solid start there for Williams. He's always getting a lot of targets, too, so I think that's a bonus for his fantasy value. And at defense, I have the Panthers defense at 2,500, who play the absolute garbage 0-5 New York Jets, who own the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft. So yeah, I'm going with the Panthers defense there. They kind of, I mean, listen, did they allow, what was it, 27 points last week? Yes, but the Jets are horrible, and I have no issue starting them there at defense. So that is my lineup of the week. I will probably be starting none of them in our EFFL this week, but that's it. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little earlier. Patrick Mahomes 7,000. I mean, listen, it's a chalk play. He's the highest quarterback on the week, but I believe in him, man. I mean, he's the QB1 right now. They're playing really good football. I know it's a divisional game. That usually they play each other tough in the division, but I just think it's going to be a statement kind of game. Like, listen, we're back here. This is still our division, and we're not letting go of that vice grip we got on it. At running back, Josh Jacobs, 7,800. This guy, he's a stud. I mean, there's a lot of people who they look at Josh Jacobs and they're like, oh yeah, he's decent. Like, no,
total stud, totally.
He's got an insane team around him. The offensive line is healthy. Jordan Love does not have to throw this football. I mean, Josh Jacobs, he went on the run last year. For those who don't remember, like, he went on an absolute tear in the second half of the season and won people leagues just off of him. And I think he could do the same thing this year for sure. Quinshon Judkins for 6,000. Kamani Vidal just ran all over the Dolphins defense. Kamani Vidal. I mean, this guy was on a practice squad, if not going to be, just sitting behind multiple guys. And Quinshon Judkins, he's a little bit better. The Browns, that they got away for some reason. They decided that they were going to let their rookie throw 1 million times this past week, and they lost for it. They got crushed. I think they're going to go back to the run. They're going to lean on Judkins. I think he's going to have an incredible day. I've been down on him, but DK Metcalf right now, 5,700. For me, this is a slam dunk play. Henry talked about it earlier. Aaron Rodgers, a little bit of a sleeper play. DK Metcalf, he's getting the ball. He's scoring these touchdowns, and he's had a couple of these massive plays called back where he would have scored. These chunk plays. And this Cincinnati defense, if Flacco comes to play, he's going to have just one more week to get with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and try to right this ship to try to still be in that playoff hunt for Joe Burrow to even come back and compete for the playoffs. So I think this has the potential to be a shootout. I think DK Metcalf gets involved. I like Chris Olave, 5,400 as well. I think he's a sleeper pick this week. I know this Bears defense is not great. And, there's a little bit of history involved with the players playing here. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I do think the Bears are going to end up winning, but I could see Olave having himself a big game. And just like Matt, I'm going with Rashee Rice, 5,600. You will not see Rashee Rice at 5,600 for the rest of the year. You got to get it while it's there. I got the stack with Mahomes. I think they're both going to have an incredible day this week. I'm very excited. At tight end, I'm going with Harold Fanning Jr., 3,900. Njoku's got this knee injury. I'm kind of scared myself because going with two Browns, it's the Browns, but having two Browns in the lineup, just with the value pick, I think Harold Fannin, he showed up as a rookie so far, and the way the hospital balls are being thrown right now, like you got Jerry Judy who's literally ducking out of the way of footballs, and he's trying to not get his head wrong, which sometimes you got to make a business decision, but I think Harold Fannin's got a little bit of that dog in him, and he's more than happy to take those big hits. And I got Bill Krosky Merritt in the flex 6100. Listen, Rico Dowdle just had two incredible back-to-back games, but they were the two games he had on the ground was against Miami and against Dallas, and they cannot stop the run whatsoever. So if Rico Dowdle can do that, I think Bill Krosky's gonna, with there was no Chris Rodriguez this week. McNichols is whatever. I think he can have himself a great day on the ground, and I'm going with the Panthers defense again, 2,500. Following with Matt, they did just let up a lot of points against the Dallas offense, but Dallas's offense is good. In reality, they got to contain Justin Fields and Breece Hall. And I think the Panthers are going to do that. Justin Fields just got sacked 9 times this past week. I think the Panthers can get to him. But that's what I'm going with. How about you, Henry?
Well, the only question I had with you on your lineup, Jeff, was the Bill Krosky Merritt, because he had 2 costly fumbles, which helped them lose that game
For sure.
last night. So I have big question marks. Matter of fact, Matt will be my witness. I was talking before the game started. I think Bill just happens to be the best running back on that team, but I don't think he's the best running back by any stretch. He just happens to be the best one on that team. I think he's average at best, honestly. So that's the only thing I have questioned. Me and you and Matt actually share a lot of the same mind with my lineup. I had Mahomes at quarterback. The guy's balling. He's getting Rice back. They're playing at home, right? 7,000. That's an absolute steal. Quinton Junkins, 6,000 at home against Miami. This guy is a baller, man. They got to run the ball more with him. I don't feel like they're even using him enough. And which takes me to my next running back. We saw him last night just absolutely crush it. Not only running the ball, but catching the ball. Bijan Robinson. He goes up Sunday night at home. I'm sorry, away against the 49ers at 8,300. And listen, I get it. Niners are probably middle of the pack against the run, but Bijan will beat you catching the ball, man. He'll beat you any which way. The guy is a baller. He's just good, and he's a must start in your lineup for DFS. Tez Johnson, with all the injuries at wide receiver for Tampa Bay, you got to start somebody against Detroit, right? Their corners are banged up. They're not playing. We'll see if any of them one comes back this week, but at 4,200, I think that could be a nice surprise start to help you get a win this week. With you, Jeff, DK Metcalf, 5,700 against Cincinnati. Cincinnati gives up a ton. I was talking about Aaron Rodgers earlier. Second most in the league passing yards they go up, right? Metcalf will be obviously the big beneficiary there. I also like Debo against Dallas. They got to be licking their chops. It's got to be a get-well game for them. Although you got to know it's a divisional game, and these divisional opponents play each other really tough because they know each other, right? So, but Debo should have some success against Dallas. And as we saw yesterday, Zachariah Ertz again with a touchdown, right? Goes up against Dallas, 3,800. He's going to get another one this week. Who's had more touchdowns on that team against Dallas? It's Ertz, right? Because he played with the Birds. And finally, my flex, Rashee Rice. He's back, 5,600. We probably won't see him this cheap again on DraftKings, so take advantage while you can and get him in your lineup. And on defense, I'm going with the Browns at home against Miami, who are just terrible. They're just a terrible team. And I'm with Matt. How is that Coach McDaniel still coaching that team? It's crazy that he didn't get fired this week too. Nuts.
Yeah, that one is nuts. I don't know why I don't know. He must know something about the owner or something. He has the files or something. Who knows? All right. We will head to our sleepers and long shots. I will kick it off because I forgot about my kicker. My sleeper long shot here. I got Jordan Whittington, not Whittingham, as Al Michaels would say. I have.
Can we just talk about that? Al Michaels is shot out, man.
Al Michaels.
Love him, mean it, but he is shot out. He
Hey.
needs to retire. He's over 80 years old. God bless him. It's time to get more young blood in there. Dude.
He's
Tough
not.
Yeah, it's tough to watch. I mean, it's fun to watch on mute.
That's
Yeah, he's not in this
that's
prime.
what it is. Anyway, Whittington, not him. Obviously, Nakua is going to be out. I'm assuming he will be out. And we don't know if it could be multiple weeks or not. So
I really hope it's
I
not.
think he could be a sneaky pickup and a good start with this week. So I got Jordan Whittington. Jeff, who do you got?
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit this week. Kamani Vidal. I mean, I thought Hassan Haskins. For those who don't know, Harbaugh and Haskins, they have history together. I thought Haskins was going to get a fair shot, but Kamani Vidal, to me, I mean, he is a flyer. You have Derrick Henry, you have James Cook. They're on bye this week. I'm thinking of starting him in 2 weeks. For me, he had 18 carries, 134 scrimmage yards, and a touchdown. Yes, I know it was against Miami, and Miami, they have every running back who's gone up against Miami this year has looked like $1 million. But for me, he's going up this week against the Colts defense. They allow 16.6 fantasy points per game, but he's the closest thing to a starter right now that's available on the waiver wire. And in most of the leagues, and this is including like Sleeper, Yahoo, ESPN, he's available in like 70% of most leagues still. And that was with the news that Amar and Hampton, they knew last week that it was going to be a toss-up between Haskins and Vidal. And there's more recent news that Hampton's injury is going to probably be longer than the 4-week IR stint. That news came through today. They are not sure when he's going to be back. So especially we're going into the buys, and it's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy in I think 2 weeks, where we're going to have so many teams on bye where you're going to be hoping you had a guy like Kamani Vidal on your team. So for me, I think he's going to get a bulk of the work. We know what Eckler did when Herbert can just check down the ball. Kamani Vidal, he knows how to catch the ball. And if he's getting 18 carries a game, I mean, you got to hope for the volume and hopefully he just holds up. I love it as a long shot this week. I think he can be a top 20 running back again this week for sure. How about you, Henry?
Well, I already talked about Tez Johnson. I do love him as my long shot, but I mean, he had that one big catch for it was like 40, 45 yards. So I really feel good about him as my long shot. As you heard earlier, I put him in my DFS lineup. I put another one in here as well. How about Luther Burden? This past week, he had 4 targets and 4 catches, which is a season high. And they go up against the Saints this week, who give up the 5th most points to the wide receiver. So I think that's a true good long shot since, you have Odunze on that team who's just been carving it up, DJ Moore, you have Komet, you got Loveland. I think Burden, is starting to could start to assert himself a little bit moving forward here. So that's my long shot.
All right. Before we get into our waiver wire pickups, you are listening to us on Cruise at 92.1 WVLT Vineland, and you're listening to us live here on YouTube. All right. It's the segment of the hour, I would say. We have about 12 minutes left, so let's quickly try to get through these. I'll start it off. I got Bam Knight. Mari DeMarcado got hurt last week, and Bam Knight has more opportunities with the ball. So I think he's a good pickup. Now with Mika Ibuka being hurt and Mike Evans still being hurt, Cade Otton and Sterling Shepard could be getting more targets, and nothing will stop Baker Mayfield from balling. So those are my pickups. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, listen, we'd already talked about it, but with Jordan Whittington, Puka Nacua is nursing that ankle injury. The Rams love running 11 personnel, which for those who don't know, it's one running back, one tight end. They're number 2 ranked right now in running that, and it's just emphasizes on blocking wide receivers. That's what Whittington is good for. He fits that profile. Only 6 defenses have allowed more fantasy points to wide receivers than the Jaguars this year. Put Jordan Whittington into your lineups, especially if you got guys on bye, you got guys hurt. I don't think that's going to hurt you whatsoever. Jaden Blue, he did absolutely nothing this past week to grab anyone's attention, but he's still a stash for me. Miles Sanders, he's done for the year, season-ending IR. So he's the direct backup right now to Javonte Williams, that Jaden Blue is. And if anything happens to Javonte, you're going to get a guy plucked into that team. He's got juice, he's got speed, and if anything happens to Javonte, he could be a league winner for you. So just keep an eye on him. If he is on the waiver wire and you have you have guys on bye that you're really not playing, anything like that, I would try to get Jaden Blue onto your team. And Tyjae Spears, it's the second game back from injury, and he's already ramping up. He went from 17 snaps in week 5 to 36 in week 6. That was good for 59% of the availability for the snaps. He looks good, man. I mean, he did this last year too. He came back from an injury, and then Tony Pollard got banged up, and then he had an incredible run at the end of the year. Callahan's gone. He's been let go. So I think this especially with Vrabel coming back and the Patriots are coming to play, they might have to just pull out something that Pollard hasn't been working. Like Pollard's, he's mediocre at best. He's older. I think this coaching staff, they might want to just see what their younger talent has to offer in the backfield. So I can see Spears, being a significant thorn in Pollard's side, and if anything happens to Pollard, I think this guy's got the juice. I think he's good enough to make a dent and help you in fantasy for sure. How are we feeling, Henry?
Well, we've talked a lot about Konami Vidal. Clearly, he's the guy. Haskins was a big whiff, at least I know for me. So, actually traded for Vidal today, so I'm pretty happy about that. He looks like the guy moving forward till whenever point Hampton comes back. I know we also touched on Fannin. It looked like it was going to be an Njoku kind of situation, right? And then they get rid of Flacco. Now, Fannin under Flacco was only averaging about 9 fantasy points a game. With Gabriel in there, he's averaging over 13 fantasy points a game. So hurry up and go pick Fannin back up if you can, especially with Njoku hurt, right? Suffered the knee injury. We got to talk about Kendrick Bourne. He's absolutely crushing it. He was 10 for 142 with 11 targets. 2 weeks in a row, over 140 yards receiving. Hasn't been done by a 49er since 02 with Terrell Owens. So this guy's a beast. I actually am trying to pick him up in a few of the leagues I'm in. I am now a believer, especially with the injuries to Jennings. I think Bourne earned a spot to stay on that field for sure. And finally, listen, I'm hearing crazy stuff from the local media surrounding the New York Football Jets, and there's rumors about Breece Hall. It sound like is going to be traded before the trade deadline, which means go pick up Isaiah Davis right away, because it sounds like this is probably going to happen, and at least you'll have an RB, a starting running back that'll probably be an RB3 in fantasy moving forward.
All right. let's quickly get through our buy low, sell high, and that'll be it. This week I have Brock Purdy. I think by the time he comes back, this offense will be healthier and a lot better for fantasy. So go get Brock Purdy. My sell high is Rico Dowdle. Listen, I mean, he had 2 great games. I think he will still be relevant for fantasy, so there's that. But I think someone will be willing to trade for a lot for him. I think he'll be good. His volume I think will decrease once Chuba Hubbard returns. So that's my sell high. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm buying low right now. Devontae Adams, Puka's hurt. Stafford is still the kingmaker. Again, it was a crazy week. With a lot of wind in that game. But Devontae doesn't look like he's lost a step. I know we talked about Jordan Whittington, but Devontae's going to be this number one at least for a couple weeks. I think until they can make sure Puka's good and healthy to come back. So I'm trying to get him if I can try to get him in like a 2-for-1 trade, and get this is actually a guy I'm going to talk about next. But I'm selling high on Drake London. I know it's crazy. I know he just had an incredible game. He literally was like the only guy thrown to besides Bijan. Kyle Pitts didn't do much, but I mean, you got Garrett Wilson who's out, Emeka Ibuka's out, Puka's out. You got so many guys right now that are snake bitten with the injury bug. If you're telling me I can take Drake London, that's probably going to be his best game this year. I'm just going to come out and say it. It's they were at home. Penix plays really good when he's at home for some reason, and he's dog water on the road. And if you're looking, and I'm doing this right now. I have a very comfortable lead in a bunch of leagues, and I'm very competitive in everything else. I'm looking at the fantasy playoffs, and for the fantasy playoffs, the first team they're going to face is Tampa Bay on the road outside. Don't like that matchup. They're facing Arizona on the road too, and then they have the Rams in Week 17. If I can get Drake London off my team and do a 2-for-1, if I can trade Drake London right now, get Devontae Adams, and then get a great running back as well, I'm doing that trade. I'm going to get depth. I'm going to make sure I still get a wide receiver who's very good, and especially if you've got Drake London right now and you've got a wide receiver team, and maybe you're getting Rashee Rice back. Like maybe you can just afford to just lose Drake London because you're going to get Rashee Rice back, who was a top 5 wide receiver last year until his injury. Go take Drake London and trade him for a stud. Try to get one of these top 3 running backs who are going to be great rest of the season. Again, I love Drake London. I'm glad he had an incredible game. I don't think this is going to be the norm, just because Penix is so hit or miss. So I would try to capitalize it while you can. What are you looking at this week, Henry?
Man, I really like the Drake London stuff you came up with, Jeff. Let me ask you a question. Would you trade him for a Rice and a running back? Does that sound like something you'd do?
Yeah, if someone was looking to, Rashee Rice, he hasn't played a game yet, but I'm very high on him the rest of the season.
I mean, he wasn't hurt. He was suspended, so he's got to come in shape, I would think, right?
I would hope so, Henry. I would really hope so. So if someone's kind of shaky and they're like, oh man, I can give up just Rice who hasn't played anything, and and give up a running back for Drake freaking London, 100% I would do it.
Right. All right.
I mean I love it. Even if, like I said, even Devontae Adams, if someone has Devontae, like, oh man, I don't know how he's gonna look. With Puka gone, is he gonna be okay? He's older. If you can go get Devontae Adams and like Josh Jacobs, are you kidding me? Right. That's a slam dunk for me. Like,
yeah, man. Especially getting Jacobs. He's a beast.
Or attack the guys that are on bye. You wanted to go trade Drake London, go get Devontae Adams and Derrick Henry, who's on bye. I still think Derrick Henry is going to have a great rest of the season. He's going to have the next 3 or 4 games. They're all layups. They're facing run defenses that are garbage. He's going to run all over them.
Love that.
So,
love that.
So for me, try to tear down a little bit of wide receiver, but I think try to take advantage of a guy who just had probably the best week he's going to have all year.
Right. All right. Beautiful thing. All right. My buy low candidate is going to be Mason Taylor. He had a terrible game. 1 catch for 2 yards, but he played a tough Denver D, right? But guess what? he's now the guy, right? Garrett Wilson's out. He's going to be the big target on that team. So to me, he's a great tight end to plug in, and you could get him on the cheap right now for sure. My sell high is going to be Dak Prescott. Next three matchups are tough. Washington gives up 19.3 fantasy points. Denver, 13.4. Arizona, 14.8. So to me, sell Dak. Also, while we're talking about Dallas, Georgie Pickens, who just scored 24 fantasy points. But guess what? His targets get cut in half when CeeDee Lamb comes back. That's what I got this week.
All right. That's what's going to do it for us here at the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Good luck trying to get your waivers tonight, and hopefully we have a more healthy Week 7. Yes. All right. Thank you for listening to us. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at KAF Football.